You do not trust too easily. You trust the wrong things. You already feel it, that slow pressure behind your eyes. You see the moves, you read the tone, you catch the small shifts, but you still lose, not because you are weak, because you were trained wrong. You learned to read smiles. You learned to trust warmth. You learned to believe comfort means safety. That is why they win. You are sharp enough to notice the game, but not yet cold enough to play it. That is the gap. That is the problem. And tonight, that gap closes. Watch what happens next. Most people will miss it. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. Niccolò Machiavelli, you think you see clearly. You do not. You see what they want you to see. You trust what feels right. It feels right because they built it that way. Power is a language. You never learned it. So you believed what was spoken to you, and they spoke control. You walk into a room, you scan faces, you pick the one who feels easy, safe, open, you move toward them. You think that is instinct. It is not. It is conditioning. They trained you to chase comfort. They built that response inside you. Then they learned how to trigger it. The more comfortable someone makes you feel, the more dangerous they can be. That is not a guess. That is a pattern. You have seen it. You ignored it. Think back. The fastest trust you ever gave. The easiest connection. The one that felt almost too perfect. How did that end? Look at what they did to you. They mirrored your pace. They matched your tone. They gave you the exact energy you were waiting for. You called it chemistry. They called it control. You feel safe when someone removes tension. You relax when there is no friction. That is exactly when you should become alert. Real people create resistance. They disagree. They push. They reveal edges. Manipulators smooth everything. They erase friction. They build a perfect surface. Because a smooth surface reflects you back to yourself, and you trust what looks like you. Power is a language. They speak it. You feel it. You do not understand it, so you obey it. Stop doing that. When someone feels right too quickly, do not lean in. Pull back. Watch. Slow your response. Silence is a weapon. Use it. Let them fill the gap. Let them show how badly they need control. Because the one who rushes to remove silence fears what silence exposes. If you stop here, you prove you are still easy to manage. Now look closer. The next move is quieter. They do not just make you comfortable. They become you. You say one thing. They agree. You test another idea. They agree again. It feels rare. It feels aligned. It feels like you finally found someone on your level. No, you found someone studying you. When someone agrees with you on everything, they are not revealing themselves. They are building access. Agreement feels like respect. It feels like validation. It feels like proof that you are right. That is why it works. You lower your guard. You open more. You speak deeper. You give them more data. They take it. Real allies do not agree with everything you say. They create tension. They force clarity. Manipulators remove tension. They remove friction. They make you glide, because speed is easier when there is no resistance. Joseph Goebbels did not convince people by fighting them. He mirrored what they already believed. Then he amplified it. He did not argue. He agreed. Then he controlled. You think agreement builds trust. It builds dependency. You start to rely on their validation. You wait for their response. You adjust your words to keep that smooth flow. Now they lead, you follow, and you do not even notice. Watch your own behavior. You have done this. You felt someone align with you. You leaned in harder. You gave more of yourself. You thought you found your kind. You found your handler. Decide right now. You either respect friction or you stay owned by comfort. They will never say it out loud, but you feel it when you hear it. You think honesty protects you. You think openness reveals truth. It does not. They will show you small flaws, controlled flaws, safe flaws. They will admit mistakes that cost them nothing. You see that and you relax. You think, this one is real. That is exactly what they want. Frank Abagnale built trust by confessing just enough to feel human. He did not hide everything. He revealed selected truths. Those truths were tools. He showed a crack. You assumed the wall was real. It was not. The lie that traps you is never the one they hide. It is the one they show you. You hear a small confession. You feel closer. You open up. You match vulnerability with vulnerability. Now they know you. You still do not know them. The more openly flawed someone appears, the more controlled their image may be. Because real weakness leaks. It does not perform. Look back again. Someone told you something personal early. Something that made you drop your guard. What did you give in return? More than you should have. You handed them leverage. Silence is a weapon. You threw it away. You filled the space. You exposed your patterns. You gave them the map. And now you wonder how they read you so easily. You built the blueprint for them. Admit it. You have shared more to feel understood than to stay in control. And that cost you. There is a moment where everything shifts. You feel it, but you ignore it. Things move too fast. Too close. Too intense. They push connection. They accelerate trust. They close distance. You think it is rare. It is not rare. It is a tactic. Speed is control. When things move fast, you do not think. You react. When you react, you reveal. When you reveal, they win. Bernie Madoff did not give people time to question. He built momentum. He created urgency. He kept everything moving, because stillness creates doubt. He avoided stillness. So should you. Anyone who accelerates trust is trying to outrun your judgment. That is the rule. You feel urgency. You feel pressure to decide, to respond, to commit, stop, slow everything down, delay replies, shorten answers. Remove emotion. Silence is a weapon. Use it. Watch what breaks, because something always breaks. Either their mask cracks or their interest fades. Both outcomes give you information, and information is power. You think you lose people when you slow down. You lose manipulators. That is not loss. That is filtration. Choose your position. You either control the pace or you get controlled by it. At this point, most people want reassurance. You do not get that here. You get truth. First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. Epictetus, you speak too early. You decide too fast. You trust too soon. That is why you get played. You feel trust. You act on it. You commit. And then you regret, because feeling is not proof. Trust is not what you feel in the moment. It is what survives pressure. It is what remains consistent when no one watches. The Watergate scandal did not expose one mistake. It exposed patterns, repeated behavior, verified actions. That is how truth shows itself, not in words. In patterns, you want power. Then stop trusting feelings. Start tracking behavior. Watch what they do when there is nothing to gain. Watch how they act under pressure. Watch how they treat people they cannot use. That is where truth lives. Power is a language. You either learn to read behavior or you remain illiterate. And illiterate people get managed. You do not need to trust less people. You need to trust nothing without proof. That is the shift. You move from emotion to evidence, from reaction to observation, from being read to doing the reading. Say it clearly. You will not trust what feels right. You will trust what proves itself. Now understand this. You were ignored before, overlooked, underestimated. That was not your weakness. That was your training ground. The ignored become unstoppable when they stop seeking validation and start building precision. You do not need their approval. You need their patterns. You do not need their warmth. You need their tells. You do not need their words. You need their actions. Power is a language. You learn it now. Silence is a weapon. You use it now, and the version of you they ignored becomes the one they cannot predict. You do not ask who to trust anymore. You ask what has been proven. That is control. If you recognize yourself in this, you already crossed the line most people never see. Act on it. Subscribe if you choose to stop being readable. Like this, if you choose precision over comfort. And write this where you can see it again. I do not trust what I feel. I trust what I verify. Remember this. The moment you stop needing to feel safe is the moment you become dangerous.